Aloha. In this video, I'd like to talk about some technical safeguards for protecting your information system. These are once again reflected in the framework from David Cranky's Experiencing MIS, out of which I'm teaching my IS 330 class this semester. So, technical safeguards include identification and authorization, encryption, firewalls, malware protection, and application design. Identification and authorization. This is making sure that we know whom we're speaking with, or whom the user of a system is. We've properly identified that person in a verifiable way. Authorizing means checking to see if that person has the permission to access the resource they're trying to get at. So if I, for example, as a faculty member, were trying to look at the payroll data for the university, I might be able to properly identify or authenticate myself, but I would not be able to get the authorization because my job requirement does not give me that permission. So we have identification and authorization. Okay. I'll talk about ways that we can identify or authenticate people in probably in the next video. Okay. Then we get into encryption. Encryption involves taking a message and effectively doing some really powerful math to scramble that message so that anybody listening in or trying to intercept the message while it's traveling across the network would open it up and it would be completely unreadable. Okay, so that's encryption. And then once the message arrives to the recipient has the proper keys, some secret keys, with which they can unencrypt or unscramble the message. So that's a very important tool for technical safeguards. And this plays into, we can encrypt software as well as we'll talk about it in terms of encrypting data. Okay, firewalls. When you have a network, we've talked in class about networking equipment, and we have an organization's a corporate network. And on the network, we have resources that need to be protected. Now, most networks today also need access to the internet or access to other outside networks. So firewalls are a device that filters web traffic to make sure that only authorized messages arrive to or are sent from a given network. So it's a way of protecting against hackers who may be trying to break into the system. So firewalls effectively scan the little information packets and determine whether they are basically expected and whether those packets of information, those service requests for certain types of software, have even been authorized on that network. So it's a good way of protecting the system. Okay. Then we have malware protection. Malware is a category of software that basically does harmful stuff to your system that you don't intend for it to do. This is where viruses, worms, adware, malware that makes your computer part of, you may have heard of a botnet. All of that is characterized as malware. And so having proper software and protections in place to scan your system and to protect the system from installing or executing any of this malware is an important component of a security program. And last, we end up with application design. This is probably the most important of these, and yet it's probably the most difficult to do because it involves thinking of security when systems and when programs are being designed and not as an afterthought. So having the proper resources and the planning in place to be thinking about writing secure software is a big challenge. Okay, so those in brief are the technical safeguards we want to make sure you understand. Know that we need to be able to authenticate or identify the user of the system. We need to make sure that messages and appropriate files, applications are properly encrypted on a hard drive, for example. Firewalls protect our network from intrusion by preventing unauthorized data packets from entering or leaving the network. We want to protect ourselves from viruses, worms, adware, things like that. And lastly, we want to make sure that the systems we design the applications we program are secure to the best extent possible. Mahalo.